Hey, how's it going, Magician fans? Today we're talking about episode 4, The Flying Forest, and we finally get to meet the White Lady. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Now we can jam out again. Yay!
Take 2, guys.
Yes.
That's all right. That's all right. We got here eventually.
And I'll say it again, because if those of you who are joining us now, the song is awesome. It's America, You Can Do Magic, and it really fits with our characters.
The band name is America, which confused me initially.
The band name is America, and the song name is You Can Do Magic. Sorry. It's one of those, I'm like, duh, that's their name. That's like saying Journey, You Can Do Something. Anyway. Throwback music. My name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D. Lane. I'm joined by my lovely, awesome co-host.
Hey guys, I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique and every week at blackgirlnerds.com.
Hi, I'm Adrian Snow. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow, and that's MSADRINSNOW.
All right, and if you guys are joining us live, feel free to chat with us in the chat. If you're talking to us, or you can be talking to us. If you're watching it later, leave comments down below. We want to know what you thought of the episode and your comments and your predictions, because we're fans just like you.
Yeah, hello to Nerdity Nerd and Dorothy Banks and everybody in the chat, Lisa Payne, Chirico. Y'all are beautiful and we appreciate you.
Thank you. And yeah, if you guys, thank you for letting us know we had some tech issues here earlier, but that's okay. So we'll just say what we just said. Opening scene with that nice close-up on the shoulder and Quentin practical effects.
As we said earlier, Foley was great. Squishy, sounds is always just wonderful. So I liked it, and I liked the fact that we're getting like a natural magic. He's embarrassed by the hollow tapping noise. I think it's pretty dope. It's a cool parlor trick. When you just tap on the wooden part of his arm. Like, come on, man, that's dope.
And then, Adrian, you were pointing out how...
okay. I was like, I don't have to repeat it. But
yeah, it was good.
No, same show.
The exact same show. But then we had to talk about how big that dick was.
It was.
No, so Arjun brought up a good point last week of just how, the show always strives to do practical effects. And I always appreciate that. Because I think it's just more realistic to actually take the time to create a physical arm that can be sewn into versus like doing a CGI.
Yeah. So definitely creates a more visceral reaction, because then you're just like, just computer, and compared to like, ooh, yeah.
And to just so everyone understands, when I say big dick, we were talking about the centaur
surgeon. Just had a giant cock, guys. It was amazing.
As Margot pointed out. Yes.
I like that Margot can never be serious.
Yeah.
We talk about it. It's beautiful.
Come on, it's we talked about that on Westworld too.
Yes.
Yes.
Never be serious.
No.
Yes. Always be joking. It's just better.
Yeah,
Life is better.
We're fun. Well, speaking of Margot, Margot and Elliot are chatting, and everything is definitely not going well in the kingdom. And what'd you guys think of him when he called her Hillary Clinton?
I missed that, and I'm upset about it.
But
I thought
beautiful.
I heard Hillary Clinton, and because she was just trying to get things done, and but you could also say it was a jab, because she was being a little bitchy.
But look, here's the thing. Like, I feel like in that moment you need to be a bitch. Like, people want to come down on bitches and be like, you should never be bitchy. Like, sometimes it is important that you be a bit of a bitch. Like, you got to get shit done. And Quentin, you want to build a 100-foot statue with what? We're talking about war and famine here. Like,
I mean, if a man is being confident, then that's just a woman being bitchy. You know what I mean? So like, getting stuff done, if it's a man, is just getting stuff done. If a woman does it, then it's just considered bitchy. So I actually really appreciate that Queen Margot is just like, we need to focus on how to manage the earth and how to take care of the people. And we don't have time for this build a statue bullshit.
I mean, the line, my crown is just as heavy as yours, that was like, yes, God.
Well, I would argue, though, that we could call any of the boys on this show bitchy as well. They have their moments where you're like
I wish Quentin would be bitchy, because right now he's just whiny, and they need him to...
There's so many other moments where Margot is bitchy, and it's completely justifiable to say she's a bitch in those moments, and nor would she deny it. But when she's just getting stuff done, I'm like, that's not bitchy. That's just being a queen. Yeah.
And then between the two of them, they pretty much say the line that now we're just grown-ups, that they have to do responsibilities.
You gotta do the adulting, guys.
Yeah.
Boo.
Hashtag adulting.
Ha.
And but Margot has a plan and thinks of a loophole. Which were you guys like worried at all, or thinking she could have a good plan before we get to what the plan was?
Before the plan, no. Margot's pretty good at last minute solutions.
She's pretty savvy.
I trusted that she would have a good one. But when I found out what the plan was, I got immediately concerned. Golems are tricky in Magic usually, and and they play it's difficult on the person you made the golem of, as we saw earlier in season 1 with Margot's golem. But I guess with the full knowledge of what you're doing and consent,
it might exactly. I was just gonna say maybe that's a little different.
It's definitely different. It's definitely different.
It might eventually come to bite them in the butt. But I think I kind of forgotten about Margolum, and so when they brought it up, I was like, oh yeah, that'd be fun. So yeah. I was happy.
Nerdity Nerd said in the chat, I thought Margot's comment on Alice not being their friend was a tad off. I mean, she wasn't Margot's friend, but Elliot had his moments with Alice, like teaching her to drink.
I didn't think Margot meant that comment.
I think she meant like they weren't close.
No, I honestly think that was more of a, like, I need to distance myself emotionally from, like, Margot doesn't deal with emotions very well.
Yeah.
And it's not that I think that she believed what she was saying, but I don't think she meant it, if that makes sense to you guys. Like I honestly feel like she was like, look, she wasn't our friend. We need to move forward. We got to save the kingdom. This crown is heavy. I have things to do. And she didn't want to really mourn. And I mean, later, obviously, that gets addressed.
Yeah, I think that partly is true. But I've also been like, something that's been coming up a lot for me in the past few episodes is like, what's the timeline on this? Because a lot of the times when they speak of, like, even when last episode when Alice and Quentin had that moment in the carriage, and he was like, "You're not that girl I met," and I was like, "Well, wait, how long has this been for them?"
It's been a year.
Okay,
like last
it almost
season
feels
was like
it's been
a year
longer
ago.
than that.
Oh, could be.
Oh, that it's been a year ago since last season that they've been in Fillory for.
No. I think like the whole of last season might have been a year for them because it was like their year of schooling, and maybe this is like a few months.
You think we're doing a school year, a season?
Yeah.
Does that make sense to me, timeline-wise?
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
But then they could have an extreme attachment to each other from just that year that, like, they were different from when they first met a year ago.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing that.
Okay.
I think there's just been a lot of references to time passing in a way that almost
feels more like 5
feels like
years
5
ago?
years, than 1 year. The way that they've been talking about things, I don't know if maybe that's something they'll touch on that is a part of it. Of like, well, actually, maybe they have been in Fillory much longer than we realize.
Well, it's like summer camp syndrome. They're together all the time, every day, all day. It's just a more intense amount of time.
No, man, I was ready to go after summer camp. I didn't feel that way.
I'll just stay forever.
Yeah, I was like, are you kidding? Best buddy? No, I don't know.
Best bitches, what?
Yes.
Best bitches.
Speaking of that, we have Julia and she finds Junkie Katie. Aww.
She's it's magic methadone is what she said she was.
I think then she
something like
she rolled
that.
right back and said methadone. I feel like she was trying to be clever. She said magic methadone, and then she was just like methadone.
Oh, okay.
And so I think she was rolling back like, it's magic.
Was she was she a drug addict before?
I don't think so. I got the sense that she was kind of the wild child who probably like tried a bunch of different stuff and used recreationally, like probably before we even met her character on the show. And then mom dies and brutal god murder / rape. Like, I think she just fell really hard into old habits.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she wasn't like going through relapse, like rehab freak out when she was at Julia's place. So it's not like she was that deep into the drugs. Withdrawals. Like she wasn't having.
Thought maybe it was like some type of magical thing, only because she didn't seem to be.
Like, she had red dots all in
Yeah. Well, I only say that. I was like, maybe it was something else because she just seemed to bounce back from it
really
very
fast.
quickly without any type of
maybe
like whatchamacallit, when
withdrawals.
Thank you, withdrawal.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they have magic hangover withdrawals cure.
That was kind of my thought, is maybe that she used the magic to get it out of her system. Like I experienced the high without after effects. Maybe.
I mean, they made a drink. Margot had that before with Penny of like it was a hangover drink, so they might have like a drug, something of flushing out your system.
Yeah.
Then we have a little one with Dean Fogg. He's having trouble with his casting and like, what's going wrong?
First of all, that globe with the clouds was really dope.
Was cool.
And I really hope they bring that back or make a real one. I don't know, it was pretty. I kind of want to own one. Yeah, it's scary when the Dean can't do things to me. Like, he's like Dumbledore for me, for obvious reasons. And I just need him to be the one who knows what the hell is happening. It's just like in book 7 when Dumbledore's like, I don't know what the hell is going on. And you're like, no, you're supposed to have a plan. And to be like, magic's not working. I guess it's just over.
Like, oh no.
I can't even like help a king. So I was like, oh god, it's really going down now.
Yeah. And then we have... that was a really nice transition because we have the Dean Fogg at Breakbills and then we transition to Margot at Breakbills.
Yes.
And Penny pops in and gets them all
Penny.
caught up of like, no, Alice is dead. And you're like, oh, like, drop it on him. Like,
Yeah.
aw. And he's all freaking out, but luckily she's
And
like...
poor Penny's being jumped around to different universes where he can't breathe and he has hands trying to strangle him. Like, his own hands are trying to strangle him. Like, I really need Penny to go see the river guy. Like, sooner, like, I feel like we've buried the lead on this long enough.
Well, it somehow gets... well, we don't know for sure it's resolved in this episode, but it gets addressed later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to it.
I mean, I'm like, that could maybe go into predictions. Oh, that's a... Someone in the... Renji said, I wonder where you go after you die in that world. As in, like, in Fillory?
Well, and the thing is, like, like, they say only the magic is left. But if the magic is dying, does that mean, like, does she evaporate into, like, reusable, recyclable magic? Is she just, like, in the air floating around as magic particles? Is she...
Alice?
Yeah. Because they say, like, when... I forget the word that they called it when you expel... Yes. Yeah, so when she nifts, like, only the magic is left is what they say. Like, so her body's not there anymore. Okay. So is she just magically floating around? Is it something to do with the well?
Well, they buried her. They said there was a body.
Oh, they did say they buried her.
Yeah.
I don't know then.
They'll probably address it later.
I hope so.
Good question.
But we know that necromancy is a thing. We've learned it. We didn't have a powerful enough spell, but...
there might be a different kind of thing to do.
Totally.
Then we have Elliot and Fen. I love how she's, like, politely asked to...
I like that she admits that she's like, I don't know how to ask for this thing, but I need it, so can you pick up what I'm putting down here?
Well, and she also is like, I'm not, like, your type exactly.
She is aware of that as well, and it's cool. I really like their relationship. Like, if you have to do an arranged marriage, as they had to, like, it's cool that both of them as partners are, like, trying to satisfy each other's needs and be there for each other and can communicate. Like, y'all are better off than a lot of marriages, which is weird and super awesome.
Yeah.
Except for, him whole going to sleep majority of the day and living in his living clay body, which is kind of like...
I mean,
well, that just kind of... Yeah. Well, at least he tries, because we had that issue before of like, wait, I thought he was gay, but then they've had sex and she seemed to really like it. So obviously he didn't totally zone out.
And got the moves down. Like, he knows what he's doing. It's just not his preference.
Yeah.
He just prefer not to be in this hole.
Yeah.
Filthy. But yeah, no, I like their relationship. Yeah. Even if, like, I really hope that maybe they can find her, like, a surrogate person who could actually love her. And, like, it's be a marriage of convenience.
I think he loves her, just not romantically.
Well, he's just not in love with her.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I want her, but, like...
That's why I said way back when, I'm like, I feel bad for her.
And he doesn't care. Like, he would still be like, oh, you're still the queen. And she's a good queen, too. So far, from what we've seen. At least seeing when we get to, people were clearly not happy in the meeting. They were like...
Well,
Did you guys pick up on how the sloth's name was Abigail?
I did not. What?
I was like, oh, that's like an actual, like... thing with thoughts. It's a sloth with thoughts and feelings. She has input on how the world should be run. I was like, I didn't even pick up on that.
And a translator.
Yes.
Yeah. Important.
Shout out to our guest from week 1.
Yes.
Yay.
And for being so kooky and kind of sweet in the first episode to being like, we have things to do here. I was like, oh, range in a character. Yes. That was really good to see.
Then, that's when, but Margot comes in with the pussy block. Because he's like, Fen and Elliot are about to get on.
It wasn't even really a block. It was just...
Margot, go away.
It wasn't on purpose.
Him, like, throwing her, being like, it was an out. It wasn't a block. Yeah. It was like, oh my God, I don't know if I want to do this.
Then we have Katie and Julia, and it was sweet how Katie's just like, no, I ran and hid, and I wanted to help, though. Aww.
Did you? To me, I understand Julia's got, like... Okay, Julia has priorities, and she's able, she's like, look, I'm not even worried about that right now. Like, I have a god to kill, and you're the only person who can help me right now. That's it. These are all of her options.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she let me past. We'd have had some words if it were me. Like, you wanted to help? You wanted to. You couldn't call nobody. You couldn't have asked the dean for help. Like,
what
she didn't have the key to get back to
time
break bills.
to really helped. That wouldn't have jeopardized both their lives. No. I mean, that's like it's like a hard pill to swallow, and I certainly would not. I don't know what I would do in that situation. I would want to fight, but it's like, I don't know.
I still feel like I would harbor some anger in my heart, and I hope that later we get to that of just being like...
Well, Julia kind of is like, I don't...
Taking the magic away.
She's like, no, I don't fault you. She's like, I don't blame you, and then I don't judge you.
Here. I just feel like sometimes when I'm upset, but I have things to do, like, I can't have to prioritize. You understand? Yeah. And so I feel like later, like, after... If she's successful in killing the trickster god, Reynard, then I feel like afterwards she's going to have, like, all of the things she put aside, like putting Quentin's life in danger.
Crash down.
Yeah, like getting a girl killed, like, all of these things that have happened because she basically allowed this guy to come back. Not that she meant to, but... Yeah. I just feel like she's going to have to deal with the ramifications of that, and she's just not doing it right now. I think it's going to build up and be kind of explosive.
Yeah. Then you mentioned the necromancy, and we had the kind of nasty, interesting, and like, wait, what? Frozen Marina, and she carved into her arm the book reference.
First of all, how hard is she? Like, I'm gonna miss Marina. Like, she was problematic, and sometimes she wasn't the most complex character. Sometimes she's just straight up like, the bitchy one.
Yeah.
But she went in hard in the paint, like to carve something on, like as you're eaten.
Dying.
Yes.
Yeah, not just dying, but kind of being slowly eaten alive.
Yeah.
He didn't eat her this time though. It looks like he just kind of tortured her a bit and then snapped her neck.
He started with her, like,
he bit off her finger.
No, but I mean, like,
later
when they ended up being, when it actually came down to like what he did when he got unfrozen.
Fair. But either way, for her to be conscious enough to remember the book, to carve the correct reference number clearly enough in her arm to be read later, like, Marina's just hard, and I hope, even if we don't get her back, we get someone like her. Someone just as hard.
Yeah. Well, she's on Arrow now.
Oh, good for you, lady.
But that, I think, leads to what some of the people are saying in the chat room of, like, where you go when you die, because she said that, like, I don't want to go back there.
Well, it seems like she went to hell. So, and they brought up the concept in season 1 of how even the whole idea of religion is something that comes out of magic. So that there's something to be said of like where people go when they die, and the whole idea of the gods of Ember and Under and all that kind of stuff. But I don't necessarily think everyone that dies goes to the same place Marina goes in this world.
Well, some people are saying that maybe she went there because she had killed people or something like that.
And Marina was not.
Yeah, she killed Katie's mom, and she.
And didn't have any, like,
remorse about it.
Things. She did something really bad at break bills, because we've seen Dean be, like, really chill with a lot of crazy stuff. Like, and when she came back, he was like, oh, no. She's like, I'm going to die. Like, I really don't care. You cannot be here. I can't have you corrupting my students. So, yeah, she was not a kind lady. But she was hard. It was amazing.
And then we have... jump over to Quentin, and he's waking up, and apparently he's been out for 3 weeks, so just a little bit of time,
Yeah.
But Penny shows up, and they have their, like, little argument, but then it was kind of their also, like, say the things that they're feeling moment. It's like, okay, good, you're talking out your feelings, boys.
Penny and Quentin are some of my favorite characters. I love the way that Penny, like, everybody else, like, is either babying Quentin or kind of tolerates him. They're like, okay, Quentin, sure, but we have this to do now. But Penny just reads him for his life every time they cross paths, and it brings me so much joy because, like, I understand that petty spirit of being like, no, I see you. I don't care how hard you're trying. Like, if you're not making it work and it's bothering me. And especially because he always goes to a very racist place around Penny.
Wait, what?
No. So whenever Quentin is under any type of magical influence, or whenever we get to see into like his deep subconscious, we always see that he's kind of a racist, like especially when it comes to Penny. And I was like, and they did it again. I was like, that's so interesting that that's like the first thing that comes out of his mouth when he's in a situation where essentially he has either no control over like what he's saying, or if it's like deep subconscious. Of, like, what he really
we have the racist accent from when he was in the mental hospital inside of his
that was so good.
We have the manservant here in this episode.
And I just love the zinger. I do always love that Arjun always gets to have really great zingers and commentary on the racist things that happen, of like even calling him a white boy, or saying like people like me walking around saying,
you can't say kill the white lady.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like, I get shot, and so I appreciate that.
Yes.
Yep. Then no, yeah,
it's good.
Then we have the center though that will absolutely not help Penny. It's like that. Your hands are cursed. I'm going nowhere near that when he says the river thing.
Yes. The River Guardian.
Yeah.
And
River Watcher.
What?
River Watcher.
Watcher. Thank you. River Watcher. It's cool that we learn more about him now because. Okay, a couple things. One, interesting way to portray centaurs. We see them as kind of like antisocial, just keep to ourselves, please don't bother us. But they have, like, in outside, in other, like, magical stories or whatever, centaurs tend not to be, like, very sociable creatures. So I was really excited by the fact that these guys are not just sociable, they're, like, kind of intelligent elite. Like, they're the ones, like, doing surgery on people that, like, nobody else can handle, but they're also still horses and feel free to just poop anywhere and let their nurse clean it up. Gross.
You're welcome. It was so weird.
Well, they saved her life.
Like elitist.
You know?
Yeah, but still, you maybe don't
it was
thank
a little
someone
weird
for doing that. But I feel like they're elitist.
Sure.
And for them to be
you're
kind
a centaur.
Yes. But for them to be so at the top of everything and then be like, oh, that guy? No,
we can't touch that.
Nowhere near that.
Oh, you screwed up.
Like, what type of magic is the River Watcher into if even the centaurs are like, oh, we can't? No.
Nerdy Nerd said in the chat, let's go hunt the white lady, and then how Penny called out. And then Renji goes, that was uncomfortably funny. It was like one of those like, whew, that was good.
I loved it.
I didn't think it was,
also, the centaur's name is Sawbones, which
real.
gives me full life. Sawbones, like Dr. Sawbones. That doesn't give anyone else like a leap of joy in their heart. Like, it makes me happy. It's kind of awesome.
I go, wait,
It's a great name.
Margot and Elliot have that scene where they've made the golem and like he's like staring at himself and he's like, oh no, just be like sort of masturbating to myself. You're like
advanced, like AP masturbation.
Yeah. AP masturbation. So not even college level.
His golem seemed into it though.
Yeah, he
was
looked
not
at him,
against the idea.
Like looked over his shoulder.
I think his golem just seemed kind of mindless and
that's how Margot's was too.
It's just like for Elliot and for Margot, a mindless version of them is kind of like almost just pure sex. Like if there's nothing else happening with them, I don't know. That's
Sorry, I'm looking at the gist.
Maybe?
Lisa Payne-Trigo says Q was born into a rich fam and has no idea that he's being culturally insensitive. He may not have known, but Q has corrected him several times, and so he should learn by now.
Penny's corrected Q.
Yes, thank you. So hopefully he learns soon. I don't think so. I think it's kind of just deep bred in him. We will see.
I want to say he's definitely done it. Quentin's comments have been like he's not aware, but that what he said is not quite appropriate. But
well, it's just straight prejudice. And again, Penny has corrected him multiple times and is like, look, uncool.
You guys, Quentin's just a little racist. It's okay.
It's okay. Like, so Avenue Q said it best. Everyone's a little bit racist, and
actually, not everyone's a little bit racist. You have to be white to be a little bit racist in America, but you can have everyone can be a little bit prejudiced. Everyone can be a bit of a bigot. So, just a little. If you're like Adrian, you're wrong. It's called Google. Google the word racism.
Harkening more back on Adrian's comment that generally his honest commentary comes out when he's not like in regular, but that shows he's still thinking those things.
Yeah, definitely.
And I wasn't not justifying his comments either. I think it's very amusing that we get them. I just think
I think it's good that we get them. I think it's a good conversation, and I think it's true to that character.
I think he has to be told multiple times to really. How many people has to be told multiple times to really get through?
He spoke the truth.
Right. It's one of those like. And then we have continuing on with Margot and Elliot, they go to the physical kids cottage, and Todd is the new Elliot. Like,
gross,
I had a rager,
Todd.
and they're like,
I was just really happy to see Todd again in a strange way because I totally written that character off. I was like, I remember last season I was like, oh, they're not going to have Todd back. That's just a one and done. Maybe they'll bring him back, but what for? And so it was kind of nice to see him back because I figured they just lost him in the whatever vacation.
It's nice to have a familiar character who has no drama on the show.
Right.
Todd's kind of it right now, and so seeing him and then seeing him crowned, but then also seeing him try to be Elliot is hilarious and adorable, and I hope we get more. I hope Todd gets
Are you
a
wearing
full
my
arc.
vest?
Yes.
No, keep it.
Keep it now, Todd. It's soiled.
Ruined it.
But yeah, no, I hope we get a full arc, like, for over the series of Todd's, like, progression as a human being, but just in C's story. Like, I don't want Todd to ever have an A story. I just want to be a background character, but that gets a full life. It's fun.
I always think it's nice when shows do recurring of small characters, especially when it's in a college type setting. Like whenever you watch shows like even Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and you see different kids in the background all the time, or they always have different interactions, but never like same.
Feels like an actual high school story.
Yeah.
Totally.
Because you run into people casually and you won't see them again for like a year, and then you run into them again, and that feels more realistic than like every single episode they're meeting someone new and you never see them again.
Agreed.
And then also Julia shows up because prior to that, she had gone. We learned she goes to the library to get the book and brings it there.
Through mirror magic, guys, which was really exciting for me. Not only
Best
did
bitches.
Best bitches.
First of all, I feel like I need necklaces that say best bitches I can just give out to people. I'll have multiple best bitches. I don't care. The necklace is amazing. And two, I think they really pulled that off successfully. Just look-wise and the way it was shot, and I believed it, and the fact that it was like a visual walkie-talkie was pretty dope. Magic FaceTime. I liked it.
Exactly. Then we had, Quentin, when he's recuperating, he sees the white lady. Oh, and then they paint his skin on. They're like, don't worry. So I'm like, oh, that'll be an easier thing because it will look normal. But if we ever have, we just got to make sure we do sound effects in case anything hits it. And then, we get the moment where Penny's choking himself that you mentioned, and he wants help. And
he breaks his arms.
Huh? He breaks his own arms, yes. And he wants Quentin to axe his hands off.
This is the best scene in this episode.
Oh, and Quentin's like, no. But then it's like, keeps egging him on. And then it's like, all right, fine. Now I'm going to do it.
That was the moment I was like, I would watch a Quentin and Penny buddy comedy.
Oh, right?
Of course.
Like,
yes.
What's that? Oh, from the 90s or 80s? Like, different
strokes?
Strangers, neighbors.
But
different.
The Odd Couple?
No, that's from the 70s.
That's older.
It was like
Ask the chat room.
What was that show? It was like different strangers, different neighbors, something strangers, something, and it was these two guys, and one was supposed to be Middle Eastern or something. I don't know. It was really weird. Perfect Strangers. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Yay.
It would be like that.
Yes.
Nobody remembers that.
I don't remember that show, but I do like the idea of them doing like a buddy show. Because they're always at each other's throats, but they also bring out the best in each other.
Then they get their moments of bromance, and it's so sweet.
Well, even like we get to see...
Yes, Perfect Strangers.
Oh, boy.
Oh, God, that show is horrible.
Yeah.
We even get to see like the fact that Penny can teach, which is really cool. The way he like without his hands, he's able to teach magic, which I think is something we've never seen in him before, and is really cool. So yeah, totally. And then Q gets called out on all his bullshit. It's amazing.
I had a moment where I'm like, wait, what is my note? And I'm like, oh yes, I did love the match on action edit where he does the chop and it cuts to Elliot chopping up the drink stuff, and we meet Javier.
Yes.
Arr.
Hey, Javi.
And Elliot has that interesting sex in two places moment.
He has a threesome?
Essentially.
Without the other two people knowing they're in a threesome.
Yes.
It
was kind of Sense 8-ish, too.
It
like
totally was Sense
going
8-ish.
Yep. But
No
he was the only one who really got to fully enjoy it. But when you mentioned didn't like that location, I mean, he turns Fen around and does her doggy style as he's trying to have sex with Javier, too.
He will make this relationship
He'll make it work.
Okay? He's not worried about it.
Okay, that's interesting. So yeah, you guys, I like that you're commenting a lot about Katie and Julia. Lisa says, tired of Julia being depressed and always shot with the blue filter, but the regular world is often shot. Julia's storyline is all shot with that filter and like that style.
Well, they all, I mean,
they talk about each area.
Break Bills is shot with like a lighter, almost brown and sun yellow hue, gold hue.
Yep.
Fillory is shot with like more of a green,
Yep.
I feel like purplish hue.
Yeah, and then you get the city.
The real world is always kind of drab,
Yep.
dull blue, dull black.
So it's not really just Julia's fault.
Yeah,
but
it's everyone that goes, as we see at the end of the episode when a particular person goes back into the real world.
Also, Julia has a right to be depressed. Julia's dealing with so much.
Yes.
Like, I think it would be weird for me to see a happy Julia in this moment. Like, I miss happy Julia, but it would be strange if it randomly came out now, I think.
Well,
someone else in the chat room, thank you. The good point of Mr. Kaboom says, but I'd have to say Katie does give off a better type of energy because she herself is just, they felt she's kind of rough to watch. But I think personally, I think Katie and Julia work really well together this season. They kind of balance out the two energies that are going on.
Yeah.
And then Renji said technically it's a 3.5 sum because it's him, his golem, and the 2 people.
True.
I
was like, where does the half come in? But
I got
it. But I'm changing.
And then Nerdy says Julia's spiraling a little after everything. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But we all understand.
I would too.
Actually, I would argue more. I was more annoyed with her being so depressed the whole first season.
Yes, absolutely.
I understand it now. At the beginning, I was like, oh.
I guess it wasn't for me. It wasn't that she was depressed. It was just that she was so
everything sucked for her.
Unnecessarily angsty. Like when after she discovers break pills and that she can't go to break pills and she's dealing with the hedge witches, it just got kind of like boring and redundant.
Yes.
And so I appreciate her having something to actually work towards and fight for this season.
A goal.
But I will say she did look. The only time that Julia's ever looked sunny is right when she get Marina cast a spell on her, and they went back in time to go to Fillory, to enter Fillory through the 1940s. Like she was so. That was the only time. And it's so sad that she was ever kind of like sparkly and happy and like having fun, and then the moment he removed the patch, it was like back to regular Julia.
Okay. Leading back to the Penny doing the magic, Quentin, when he does his physical therapy, he's like, nope, I got a better idea. I got my archery. And that was pretty fun. And how convenient is it that there's a spell to make your arrow go straighter?
It's like, spell for everything.
There's a spell for everything. No, it's awesome. And they're going to go hunt the White Lady.
Yeah.
And they go together in the hunt, but they smell something and get their contact high, and the fun fishbowl lens. So did you enjoy that? Like them walking through the woods and the...
I just
That's
love
my face!
My stuff touchers. So I was like,
Stuff touchers was definitely the best line in that scene. And I also thought it was cool that I like the way that they show how the book was written for like a child audience, and then how that translates into the actual world and how it exists. So the flying forest does not actually fly Q. Like he's like mostly at day or night. I'm like, no. It's
once
just
that
you're just stoned.
Yeah.
In the book, though, there is a tree that moves, of like it walks and they follow it, though. So maybe not flying trees, but there are walking trees in the book.
Very cool.
But I back on that comment, though, it is funny when Quentin's like, dude, they must have been so baked of like, because they were kids
10,
walking through. And then actually I was gonna say just jump over to and it was the thinking of Alice that breaks the cycle of them going in that circle over and over, but then it's the bracelet and then it's Alice, and then he kind of has his like breakdown, and they have their I need you. That's why the bromance is like, oh, they're so sweet.
I like that the whole walking through the forest thing addresses Q's hero. We talked about this a lot 2 weeks ago, where Q sees himself as the hero, even though he recognized enough in the moment to be like, I'm not the hero, and somebody else needs to do the stabbing. I'm not very adept at magic. And yet, here we see him, so he's like, what if I meant to save this person?
Yeah.
Well, like, you don't even know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
So
it's like, of course I'm a hero. You're my servant. And
yeah.
I'm like, no, that's just not.
Sure. No. So I like the imagery of, like, them walking in circles and not being able to figure out what the issue is, and always kind of being at each other's throats. I like the imagery of Penny always taking the easy path. That's where everybody else goes. So that's got to be safe. And then them coming out of the forest. As you mentioned, we have the bromance moment. But I was kind of more interested in the moment where Penny says, like, I know. Like, I heard something in your head. We didn't hear what Penny heard. Yeah. Right? What do you guys think he heard?
I don't know. I think also...
I'll throw that to the chat, too.
Probably because Quentin was the one that essentially killed Alice. Like, when he released his...
Oh, he feels guilty.
So he probably goes back to that moment.
Takes fault. Because Penny wasn't there to see that. All Penny knows is that Alice died. He doesn't know that it was Quentin that released his... Oh my gosh, what's the name of that thing?
Keiko Demon.
His Keiko Demon.
I'm on names today. Yes.
In order to kill Alice. So I think he faults himself a lot for that.
Sure. And then they... are still going. We'll just finish off their line because their story. So they're going through the woods, and he fires his arrow, Quentin, and he thinks he is gonna hit something, but he has this perfect magic spell, and he hits the white lady in the shoulder, and I love her, like, one of her first lines, she's like, obviously you turd.
Yeah.
She is really cool. You know, usually these beings are, like, ethereal and have, like, you know, weird filters over their voice so that they sound mysterious and different. And this was just a chick who was like, fine, what do you want?
Yeah.
I'm trying to nap. I didn't ask for any of this. Yeah. And yet she made herself visible to them.
I love how sassy she was.
She was very sassy. But I like that she made themselves visible.
Yeah.
Made herself visible to them because it makes me believe that maybe she's trying to do something else. But I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't get the sense when she showed up. Like, when she showed up and was talking to them, I didn't really pick up that there was ulterior motive there. But usually, when a character that mysterious reveals themselves to people, and it seemed the nurse was kind of, like, shocked initially, like, oh, you saw that here? Like, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, because she revealed herself to a centaur, but she allowed him to see as well.
Yeah, the nurse was like, oh, you could see her. So, that's a good question. She maybe could feel their energy, their pain, and could sense that.
But there was something about her wish granting that I found to be interesting. I always feel like whenever you get wishes, there's always like a side, like a catch to them. So when she gave like Penny his wish for his hands, I was like, oh, I don't know about all that. But when she said,
it's painful too.
But the words that she said to Quentin were interesting because it wasn't like he said, I want you to bring Alice back to life, and she said, I can't pierce through that veil. Alice is gone. But she never said Alice is dead, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
She's like, I can't do it. I can't pierce through the veil. And it's like, what do you mean by that veil?
Yeah, the veil definitely suggests that there is another plane or a world that she can't do, but maybe y'all could do. It would be challenging. I also found it interesting, like, y'all are trained magicians. The older ones have been here a while longer. And though Penny and Q maybe have only done like a year of schooling and then they've been in Philly the rest of the time, like, y'all know words mean things. And you guys know, like, there was just no caution in the wording of it. Because at first I was like, okay, if you bring her back, like, how does she come back?
Yeah. Right? Pet cemetery there. Of like,
Just careful what you wish for. And they were not careful. They were like, we just need. And I was like, this is not the way you do magic, guys.
It just makes me think that she's not... Because, like, the whole idea of, like, someone niffing out, you get the sense that they're not dead. Like, even if you have a body left over, it's like, well, that's just your corporal state. That doesn't mean that you yourself
the spirit,
are dead.
Soul could be
in terms
else.
of like how the magicians work. So,
the white lady had a great quote though too of like, "There's nothing I can give you that would soothe your shade." So that's the first time he's heard the word shade.
Yes,
and
which made me think that shade's going to be.
But she said, "I can only take it away." And you're like, wait, don't take his shade.
She's going to take that option for a minute. And though I don't want Quentin to lose his shade, this is how we got very powerful beasts. So it really wouldn't surprise me if one of them eventually has to give up their shade in order to like protect the world.
Isn't that kind of what? Well, that kind of ties into my prediction. So,
okay,
but
almost there. I'm like, we're wrapping towards the end, but a couple last things. Well, Quentin, points out he has everything and just send me home and tosses the bow and arrow away in the real world. And I mean, that kind of goes, and I like the chat pointed out, and we've kind of talked it, like, magic doesn't solve everything.
Yeah, finding...
just because you get a wish.
Finding Maria's Elvis says, I like the fact that magic isn't the end all be all. Yeah, absolutely. It can't make you happy. It cannot bring back the dead.
He's like, make me happy.
Yeah, temporarily, but whatever.
And then, Penny asked for his hands back, and I was like, man, you're still a jerk too. Of like, he's not quite like he wasn't polite to her. Like, even Quentin's like, dude, have some respect. Of like, I think I'd be like begging, pleading, not be like, give me my hands back. But
Penny lacks social grace.
He needs some help with that. Just a
little bit.
Except
for when it comes to Katie.
Yes.
And that's the only time he doesn't like
like most men. I can have sex with it? Hi, what's up? Flowers.
I'm so kind right now.
Nerdy said, nobody in that city knows the weird guy with the bow and arrow on the sidewalk. I don't know. It's New York City. There's weird people all the time. Los Angeles, same thing.
He's just cosplaying.
He's no different than the naked cowboy on Truly.
The only other thing that we didn't really... one quick thing, when Marina came back to life momentarily, she pointed out that there was a girl who banished Renard 40 years ago. So they have that little bit.
I have to go back, but I remember there being some kind of incident about 40 years ago at Break Bills.
Maybe.
That Dean was talking about, but I don't remember precisely. We've had a couple of different eras where they mention issues, so I'm going to have to go back and see if I can't find if there's maybe a correlation in history.
I think that kind of is The only other quick thing was the interesting line between Elliot and Dean Fogg of being an adult is recognizing your responsibility and your earth privilege.
Yes, check in for that privilege, sir. Check in for it.
I also, there's just something that's like lightly touched on. It's just like the ramifications of Ember shitting in the wellspring and how it is actually still, even though they were like concerned about magic because the wellspring was so low, by him shitting in it. Sorry, that's what they said.
It is. Pooping. Those actual words.
It's affecting it even worse. So now magic is spiraling out of control on Earth, which I thought was really interesting.
Yes.
So you see that with the Dean, and you see that with all the magicians. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah. And then the only other thing, too, with Margot and Julia, they do the cool copy. They're trying to write down the book. They kind of have their quick little cat fight, but then Margot... Julia calls her out. She's like, you have no friends. The only people who want to be with you is because they're afraid of you. And then Margot has the, like, well, you're all alone. But it really touches Margot. And so she's like, all right, here's the thing. So you could essentially Xerox the book. Yeah. Magic spell. So you're like, aw. And, but Katie's like, well, you do have questionable judgment. That was about kind of a funny wrap up to their little bit. Because it's like Julia got through to Margot, called her out on her behavior.
I really need them all to come together as a team because y'all all help each other be much better human beings. Right. I really wouldn't mind seeing a Margot Julia team up, all of the Penny Q team up that we got this episode because they are vicious with each other, but that blatant honesty is both something they could use.
They all need it.
They need it in their lives. They need it. And then, Katie could round out our trio of witches. Give me one.
Yeah. I think for Elliot Yaman, I think the reason why Quentin asked to go home is just because it was just too much to bear. Because he thought he had everything he wanted, and then he ended up losing most of it.
Yeah,
so.
Asking for Reynard's death, which, would be smart. I'm not gonna lie.
But Quentin's kind of selfish.
It would have been a quick problem-solving things, but Q is pretty selfish. He's a little self-absorbed, which, in grief, people tend to be self-absorbed. Yeah. But also, as he said, that's not gonna bring back his happiness, and I think maybe he's like, I got everything I thought I wanted. Let me go back to the real world and try that.
Yeah.
And he's not the best planner.
Not enough for him. Yeah. Or it didn't come out the way he wanted. Not that it's not enough. It didn't come out the way he wanted it to be.
Well, in the first episode, when he gets that woman to help him, when she can't accomplish the one thing he wants, he doesn't ask for anything else. So Quentin's not the best, like, hey, wait a minute, let me ask for something else.
He's
not a planner.
He doesn't think ahead.
He's got a good heart. That's
doesn't
about
think further than his nose.
Oh, yeah. I know, guys. Chat room's like, wait, he could have wished for this. See, we're
really
all
could've.
smart about that. We're all thinking that Quentin, I think he's just in grief. And I was
Mr. Kaboom 95 is like, the poop. Like, he could have asked for a clean and full wellspring.
Yeah.
Quentin, think. That's okay. He's not there.
He's in grief, and people don't often think
He may not even know about the poop in the wellspring.
No, he's gonna know, right?
No, he was like, but before they found that out, he was in a coma for 3 weeks.
Right before he attacked, because that's what led dude to him before they had the big fight.
Oh, you're right. They watched it. Never mind.
I think that's it. Should we do predictions? Yay, predictions.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV.
Lisa Payne Kiro in the chat says they were comparing Harry Potter to this world, and they were like, we could call this episode The Veiled Prisoners of Azkaban and bring back someone but not themselves, Deathly Hallows. And I really like that title, and I would use it. Quick predictions. Penny is an idiot. Do not wish for your hands back. Wish for your hands back without being cursed. You can go through all that pain, sleep, wake up. I promise you, you'll still have cursed hands. You're a fool. You need to go see the River Watcher.
So you think his hands coming back will be just as they were?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because the curse is apparently very deep. The centaur couldn't lift it. He was unwilling to even touch it. And she was like, "Oh yeah, I can definitely grow your hands back. Be careful what you wish for. You'll just have your cursed magic hands. It doesn't make any sense." The other thing I'm excited for is the conclave of magic geniuses to come and help them run this world and figure out how they can be a better
Dean's
king.
like, you need these things.
He's like, I'm not enough. You were gonna need what does he say?
A general.
I wrote it down. He's like, well, a general
advisor.
and advisors and all that. I'm like, yes, bring in like magical geniuses. I want to see how you do run this world. Yeah, should be fun.
I think with Penny, I think those hands were cursed. So I think maybe possibly there'll be a different thing, because just to have it be the same thing over again, I think that's kind of like stupid. But
it's what we'll have to drive him to the River Watcher.
I don't know.
He's the only one who can lift the curse.
We shall see. But with my theory is that when you niffen out, I think that's approaching godlike, because there's, if you think about it, like somebody referenced something about, I don't know if it was Arjun but they were eventually going to touch on Reynard's backstory.
Yes.
So it seems like almost as if you start off as a human or something.
Yeah.
And then if niffing out allows you to have this true power where you can like reach into the beast and open him, I feel like Alice's might be in a different veil because she might be like in the god-like arena.
Interesting.
Only because I say that about her and not the beast, because removing your shade doesn't like bring you to a different world or veil. It's a removal of something, so you're kind of left hollow, which allows you to be at your most powerful. But if you're niffing out, then you're becoming pure magic, and if pure magic is the closest to being a god, then maybe that's what Alice is.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm extremely skeptical about Penny's hands coming back. I don't necessarily know if it'd be the same curse, but I'm always like,
yeah.
I mean, he should have been more like, I want my hands back to normal or something.
The way they were before they were
Yeah,
cursed.
like, you need those clauses in there, Penny.
I want
specifics.
My hands back.
And then, I don't think Alice is dead. I do think it's possible that she could be on, a different kind of plane. She'll come back, but the question is, like, how? So I'm like,
Penny when he gets his hands back.
Well,
because he
bring
can
her
jump
back.
worlds, and he's super good at it.
Yeah,
he's like
there
really
you go.
talented. Like, these are my predictions.
Yeah, I think that. That's kind of. I don't have any other specific predictions. So why don't we go around and say where people can find you, and that's kind of it for today's episode.
Cool. I'm Adrian Snow. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow.
Hey guys, I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique and every week at blackgirlnerds.com. Wednesdays on Book Circle Online. You can find me doing the comic book exchange. Powerless tomorrow at 6:30. Other shows. Things. Sundays when Clone Wars comes back. Also check out Collider's Schmodown. Emma Fife and I have just started a team. We're going to take on the action movie guys. So we're really excited about it. That is on March 10th.
Oh, and side note, if you're watching TV and you see an Affleck commercial with a black chick as a nurse, that's me.
Her.
Yay!
She did it. National commercial rights.
My line got cut, but I'm still there.
And my name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. And you can also catch me on Thursdays on The Expanse at 5. I'm on one of those times. Sundays, Emerald City, as well as Box Office Breakdown, where we look at what movies came out over the weekend. And soon, Time After Time will be starting on Sundays.
Whoop, whoop. And
Monday is the finale for Timeless. Thank you so much for watching this episode of The Magicians. We'll see you next week. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.